Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2020 AFECA webinar. Get ready for reopening. My name is Susanna from AFECA Taipei Liaison Office. Today we are honored to have Mr. Walter Ye, President of AFECA, and Ms. Angela Chang, Secretary General of Taipei Exhibition and Convention Association, and also 17 honorable speakers from 12 countries, areas with us. Today's webinar is also live on AFECA's Facebook and YouTube channel. For those who did not register, we welcome you to watch live through both channels. To make sure today's webinar goes smoothly, I would like to remind the panelists to please stay mute when others are presenting. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Walter Ye, President of AFECA, to make his welcoming remarks and give us a brief overview of the reopening of the MICE industry in Taiwan. Mr. Ye, please.
Good afternoon. Welcome to AFECA's webinar. Get ready for reopening. I'm Walter Ye, President of Asian Federation of Exhibition and Convention Associations, AFECA. COVID-19 has caused severe destruction all over the world, and the MICE industry has not been spared. However, MICE events in Asia are now showing signs of recovering. It may now be time for the MICE industry to prepare to resume organizing events. Today, we have leaders in Asian MICE industry from more than 10 countries and regions to bring you the latest developments in Asia during the pandemic era. I look forward to a very productive discussion, which I'm sure will result in AFECA being even more active and vibrant for Asian MICE. I would like to share with you the latest developments in Taiwan. COVID-19 is well controlled now in Taiwan, with 447 confirmed cases and just 7 deaths so far. As a result, economic activities in Taiwan have basically continued as normal. Of course, many industries are suffered during this period, and international trade also influenced. Since June the 7th, Taiwan's Central Epidemic Command Center has been implementing a large-scale reduction of restrictions. So now all domestic activities in Taiwan will no longer be restricted. When following epidemic prevention guidelines, domestic travel within Taiwan is also increasing and being encouraged by the government in order to reboot the local tourism industry. But of course, while maintaining social distancing, the wearing of face masks and hand sanitizing. Additionally, since June the 1st, the Taiwan government has permitted the sales of face masks both domestically and for export. As a result of all the efforts of stakeholders, the Bureau of Foreign Trade, the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and the Taiwan External Trade Development Council, TAITRA, were able to jointly launch the press conference on June 11th, announcing that Taiwan was lifting domestic restrictions on the MICE industry. So, from June to August 2020, over 50 events have been scheduled, including shows, concerts, and activities in response to strong domestic demand in the post-pandemic era. All stakeholders have declared that they will closely follow the practices and measures which are necessary for epidemic prevention. Take Zhanzhao's pet shows in Kaohsiung, for example. It's one of the first shows after the reopening press conference. Epidemic prevention measures were implemented in the show, such as real name-based tracking both online and on-site. This contact information should be well protected and destroyed 28 days after event. Body temperature was measured upon entry. Hand sanitizers and air purifiers were allocated in the show ground. As a result of the impact of COVID-19, the digitalization of MICE events is far more important now. The hottest trend right now in the exhibition industry is online to offline, known as O2O events. Virtual events will be held concurrently with physical events to better serve visitors. Online matchmaking meetings are crucial for the trade business to continue without getting face-to-face physically. Virtual reality exhibitions provides a brand new buyer's experience to shop and view samples online. At the same time, hybrid conventions will become a new normal. From now on, organizing virtual events with the latest technologies is not just supplementary, but a necessity in the post-pandemic era. The Taiwan government has allocated a stimulus package to subsidize a wide range of industrial sectors, including the MICE industry. For MICE industry employees, and the government is providing a subsidy for their staff, which started in April and will continue until the end of June. The government is also providing an occupation training subsidy to assist service industry employees. The total amount of subsidy per company is kept at about $100,000 US. In addition to these measures, the royalty fee for state-owned venues will be reduced by 50% for venue operators this year. With regard to border controls, Taiwan's government is planning to gradually lift restrictions for countries which have controlled the coronavirus pandemic well. From June 22nd, business travelers who wish to make short visits to Taiwan can apply for short home guaranteed period. From June 29, foreigners who wish to travel to Taiwan for reasons other than tourism and regular social visits may apply for special entry permit. In conclusion, it can be seen that many important steps are being taken to get business back to normal in Taiwan as quickly and effectively as possible. Before I finish, I would like to express my appreciation to all of you for taking the time to join in us here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ye, for your insightful presentation. Because Mr. Lei Qiu-Yan Hua, Director of Hu Zhiming City Promotion Center, needs to leave early for another meeting. Now we will welcome Mr. Hua to share the latest developments in Vietnam. please. Thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Chairman Chair. It's my pleasure to have the e-meeting all of you again. My name is Hoa from Ho Chi Minh City Tourism Promotion Center, represent for Ho Chi Minh City Tourism Department. My presentation, I have 3 points. The first is the update for the COVID-19 in Vietnam. The second
Mr. Hoa,
is about
could you please turn off another microphone?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Everybody here from me? Hello?
Yes,
Yep.
better now.
It's okay. Yeah, we can start. For my presentation, I have 3 points. The first is the update for the COVID-19 in Vietnam, the situation. The second is the state of lifting the restriction related to the MICE event in Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City. And the third is the MICE event situation in Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City. Firstly, I would like to update for the COVID-19 in Vietnam. Until now, in Vietnam, we still well controlled for the COVID-19. From the 2nd of July, according to the Ministry of Health, we have 355 case infected. But until now, only 15 case active and still recovering. We already recovered 340 cases, and we have 0 deaths until now. So in Vietnam, until now, we have 78 days. It means 2 months and a half without COVID infected found in the community. The reason is Vietnam has suspended all the international flight from the March of 21st and prevent for the COVID-19. We only allow for the foreign expert, skilled labor, and investor to go to Vietnam and to reboot the economy. So Vietnam still continue uphold the entry ban for the foreign investor. In Vietnam, we have the special case about the patient 19. He's a British pilot, work for the Vietnam Airlines. He is one of the most suppressed infection by COVID-19, and more than 2 months, his health become worse and worse. But after last month, the Vietnam doctor, it helped him to become better and better, and he recovered for the COVID-19 until now. This now become a future story in Vietnam. The success fight against the COVID-19 had made Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City prove that Vietnam have in general, and Ho Chi Minh City have a strong healthcare system. And Ho Chi Minh City have potential to become one of the top medical tourism destinations. And the Vietnam government plan to have the announcement about the medical system in Vietnam. Secondly, I mentioned about the state of lifting restriction related to my event. From the early May and until the end of this year, we have the several events and MICE events. On the domestic flight, and we start again with Vietnam Airlines and other local airlines. Ministry of Culture and Sport and Tourism has launched the campaigns Vietnamese Travel Around Vietnam to encourage the domestic travel. In Ho Chi Minh City, we also launched the tourism stimulus program in many tourism products. We also implement the campaign we call Hello Ho Chi Minh Cities, with on the KOL and celebrity to encourage the people travel in local. Similarly, domestic tourism in the short term consider a solution to maintain the market. And from the middle of July, in Ho Chi Minh, we also have the travel fair for all the tourism company in Vietnam can join together and sell for the local. For the MICE event in Vietnam, in June, we have the event in Ho Chi Minh City, they call VitView from the Ministry of Construction. On July, we have the event from the Ministry of Trade and Ministry of Medical and Health. Also, we have the traveling advice. Thirdly, on the 22nd of March, until now, we still close the border. We only allow for the expert, foreign investor, and the special high skill worker come to Vietnam. But we have a few proposals to the government. For example, we start to with some other country, we start open the border like country by country. In the future, Vietnam we start to open the border with some country like Taiwan, South Korea, Thailand, and some of the city from China. And we are in Vietnam now. We still have the few 4 and 5-star hotel to become the quarantine area. And we also propose to the government that hotel can be the meeting zone for all the investor. They come to Vietnam. They don't need 14-day warranty. So one of the ideas is proposed by Ho Chi Minh City Tourism Department. That is the brief update for Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. I hope the information will helpful for you to plan to upcoming project in our vibrant Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hua, for your presentation. Now, let's welcome Mr. Stuart Bailey, President of the Hong Kong Exhibition and Convention Industry Association, to introduce developments in Hong Kong. Mr. Bailey, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from Hong Kong. Thank you to the President and the Board from AFECA for letting us come and present this information this afternoon. I want to just give you a quick update, first of all, on the economic recovery here in Hong Kong. There we go. We've, like Taiwan, have had relatively low numbers of COVID-19 cases. We've had the same number of fatalities. Sadly, 7 people have died here in Hong Kong, but with a higher number of people who have contracted the disease, 1,243. We, obviously, in Hong Kong have got the experience of SARS back in 2003. So therefore, our doctors are familiar with respiratory diseases. And we've got some of the best hospitals and sort of equipment in the world to be able to deal with it, which is why our fatality rate is as low as it is, I think the lowest in the world. The government moved quickly when it was obvious what was happening with COVID-19, but then equally the people of Hong Kong, because of the experience with SARS, were quick to respond as well. Face masks were immediately kind of put in place. And social distancing took place. Now, there was no official lockdown here in Hong Kong, but people were asked to take sort of steps to work from home if they could, or travel outside of kind of peak hours to the office. That all happened much earlier in the year, and certainly for the last 2 months, it's been relatively free. The restrictions on meeting people has been relaxed. We now have a state of affairs where I think groups of 50 people can come together, and it's gradually being relaxed from there. Now, we lobbied the government fairly early on to make sure that the exhibition industry was an exemption to that, so exhibitions are treated separately from that. But as I say, if you came to Hong Kong at the moment, apart from the fact that people are wearing masks on the street, you wouldn't notice any difference than if you came here a year ago. The government are obviously cognizant of the fact that we're not going to get a lot of international travellers coming in, and the Hong Kong Tourism Board have done a lot of promotion around holiday at home and staycations and people kind of taking advantage of Hong Kong. In terms of the government support that we've seen for the exhibition industry, next slide, the support for our industry, the government have come in with a fund of 130 million US dollars to cover the rental fee. So it covers 100% of the rental fee of any organiser that is organising a show of more than 1,200 square metres. So it covers most shows. Now, the mechanism will be that the organiser still has to pay deposits and book the venue in the same way, but that will be refunded by the government. So we will have free venues in Hong Kong. which will begin shortly and will last for one whole calendar year, so that virtually, well, all organisers will be able to enjoy the scheme. There's equally a fund of 144 million US dollars for the tourism board, which will be used to reboot tourism and get more international visitors. Obviously, our focus is on MICE visitors, to get as many of those to come back to Hong Kong and attend our trade shows. And then equally, like a number of markets, there has been an employee salary support scheme, which has allowed businesses who are struggling through this period to claim some money in order to be able to pay their employees. This is not a furlough scheme, so there is no requirement that people don't work during this time, but that certainly has been useful to help specific sectors of our industry, contractors and suppliers who have been hit incredibly hard, as well as organisers. In terms of the guidelines, I think Walter covered a lot of these in some detail, but we have already seen exhibitions begin. The first exhibition in Hong Kong took place on the 22nd of June. 22nd of May, a lot longer than that. And we saw it was a wedding, consumer wedding exhibition. And what we saw then was that there was a health declaration form, temperatures were checked, there was the mandatory wearing of face masks. We saw much wider aisles. There's a lot of talk here in Hong Kong about, single way aisles or wider aisles, which is the better way to do it. But social distancing and only allowing so many people to come in at any one time. So far, there's been no food and beverage inside the halls, hand sanitizers, and regular cleaning throughout the venues. And I'm sure that we're going to see those things become part of the fabric of all exhibitions for the foreseeable future. Next slide. In terms of the lifting of the regulations, as I just mentioned, the first exhibition took place on the 22nd of May. And we have a number of other exhibitions that are in the pipeline. Now, we are in the summer months in Hong Kong. The schools are about to break up for the summer holidays, and it's a time when traditionally we don't get a lot of trade exhibitions. It's mostly business to consumer. So we have got the Hong Kong International Book Fair, we've got the Travel Expo, we've got the Food Expo, all really aimed at consumers. Now, the Hong Kong Book Fair normally attracts around about almost 1 million people. So obviously there are going to have to be some changes to reduce the number of people in the hall at any one time and promote a bit more social distancing than that. But I expect most of the consumer fairs to go ahead as per usual. From the start of September, so from the 1st of September, Informa have got their restaurant and bar show, the TDC have got their watch and clock show, there's a jewellery and gem show, and these are trade exhibitions with international brands. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these go. I suspect what we're going to see is that these events will be smaller in size, and that local representatives of those international brands will be the people who are manning the booths rather than people coming in from overseas. The restrictions in terms of bringing in people from mainland China are due to come off on the 7th of August, in which case we can get the major buyers that the trade shows in Hong Kong rely on, which should allow those things to go forward. From the sort of the late September through October and November, though, that's peak sourcing period. So we've got trade shows by global sources, the TDC, Mega Expo, etc. And there, without international participation, it is going to get a lot more difficult. So we are looking to the government to start opening up these bubbles or sky bridges or whatever they're called, in order that those trade shows can go ahead as usual, and they can start to take place and reasonably comfortable with getting the attendees and the buyers that they need. In terms of the travel, and I think this is key because Hong Kong really is an international hub. The domestic market is only 7.5 million people. So unless we've got buyers and unless we've got participants coming in from overseas, there's not, trade shows can't happen for the domestic market. So we're looking forward to the extension, the opening up of the borders with mainland China, with Macau, and with Taiwan, which is, as I said, scheduled for the 7th of August. We are then looking forward to other parts of Southeast Asia. I know that there are discussions at a government level with Thailand, with Korea, with Japan, and with several other Southeast Asian nations, Singapore, Malaysia, etc. And we are keen, and we're certainly pushing the government to, as and when it's safe to do so, look at allowing visitors from those countries to come back to Hong Kong without the requirement of going through a quarantine period. It is a balance, and I think what we'll see over the coming months is perhaps an opening, followed by, if there is a spike, perhaps a closing again, and we're going to see this whack-a-mole approach to the opening up of international markets as we go along. There is talk, obviously, about the switch to virtual trade shows. We have a virtual trade show next week as part of the Hong Kong Start Me Up Festival. My experience is it's all the same amount of work as running a normal exhibition, but with the added problems of technology being thrown in there, which it throws up, far more variables and far more reasons why things could possibly go wrong. So fingers crossed that will work, but it's really no replacement to the face-to-face events, which we look forward to welcoming back as soon as possible. That's all from Hong Kong.
Thank you, Stuart. It's nice to hear about the developments in Hong Kong. And next, I would like to welcome Mr. Balasubramania, President of Indian Exhibition Industry Association, IEIA, to brief us on the status in India. Mr. Bala, please.
Good morning to everyone, and thank you, President. Thank you. You pronounced my name absolutely correct. Thank you so much for that. I represent the Indian Industry Exhibition and Associations. We are basically an association comprising of exhibitions organizers, venues, service providers, and other peripheral service providers from the exhibition industry, which also includes certain parts of MICE. We are close to around 250 members across different segments of exhibitions organizers. We also have reciprocity agreement with overall maybe around 20 global associations, which AFECA is also a part of it. And we're very happy to have this kind of affiliation, which gives a lot of good kind of practices which could take it down to the Indian industry. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. Of course, COVID-19 has affected India badly as any other country, and we saw the early signs of COVID somewhere in the month. Yeah. Could you go back to the earlier one, please? I'll start from there. Hello? Hello? Earlier slide, please. Yeah, this is the first slide. Yeah. India too got affected as badly as any other countries. We had the early signs of, no, you will have to go back to slide number 2, please. One more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we have a badly affected somewhere in the early of February, and then we have shows getting cancelled from the month of March, April, and June and July. We do not have any shows coming until the month of September. So we had badly affected as we have close to around 130 exhibitions which got cancelled in India. And we had 5 different versions of lockdown, and which had different kind of restrictions from the government side in terms of how the public movement has to be there and what kind of mass gathering should not be there. After the 5 different versions of lockdown that we are in a stage wherein the government is also looking of unlock phase. So we had an unlock phase which started somewhere in the month of early June, and then we had the unlock versions of in June 2020. Where the first version we had some of the religious places which got unlocked, including the restaurants and bars. Currently, we are also reopening because what happened when we had an unlock lockdown in somewhere in the early year, actually we had even the schools which was shut down. So probably some of the examinations which were held from schools and colleges were not held. So the schools are getting reopened, some of the exhibitions are held. So that's when we have 2 different versions of unlock which has recently been announced, and we are looking forward to have the version, unlock version number 3 somewhere in the month of July, which is this month end. That's when we are probably looking at somewhere resuming the international flight, and that's where we have a strong opinion and very optimistic that the international flight, along with the international flight, that could be some kind of go ahead to restart our exhibitions also. I'm sorry to say, and the slides are not matching with this thing. This is the first slide. Can you go to the second slide, please? I'm still on this second slide. Yeah, can you stay here, please, for some time? Yeah. As I mentioned, there has been a severe loss from the exhibition industry. We close to around 500 crores, which is equivalent to around 661 million until July. And we have shows which are also getting cancelled for the month of August as well. So as I mentioned, we had a series of, because the lockdown consists of around close to around 4 months, and then we have slowly, in a very phased manner, we are unlocking different kind of establishments. Manufacturing has started on a very good scale, and because since end of May in manufacturing is one of the driver for the economy, and that's when probably we are seeing probably by end of September, the government will should also be able to give a restart to the exhibition industry. Next slide, please. Yeah. In terms of IEA, from the IEA side, we had several COVID initiatives which were taken out to the government. We have made several representatives to the different departments, as well as we did several initiatives which could help the membership also. In terms of representation, since we are closely working with the government, we come under the tourism and ministry and the industry and commerce. We had several interactions with the bureaucrats and the ministers from the industry and commerce, where we directly belong to. And we also come under the directory of Department of Promotions of Industrial Trade and Technology. So that's also we have been doing it. We have several rounds of discussion happening with the different venue owners, also in terms of the preparedness for the SOPs. SOPs has been already been prepared by the nodal agency, which is ITPO, and we also from the IAA we have shared it, and we have had a common understanding in terms of having a common SOP for the entire exhibition industry, which has already been shared and submitted to the government. As we said, as I said, that probably during the unlock version 0.3, somewhere in the end of July, we would be looking at this SOP being shared with the entire industry, and we will have a sort of a go ahead in terms of restart the exhibitions. We had several webinars with the government people, and along with the ministries and bureaucrats and other from the industry segments in terms of advocacy webinars, where we had clearly put up our representation and some of the grievances and the challenges that are faced by the exhibition industry. And this has been seriously looked, and probably we would have some kind of responsive decisions coming from the government very soon. That's our expectation, and we're optimistic about it. And we also celebrated the June 3rd, the exhibitions, and we had started a campaign. We support exhibitions throughout the exhibition, toward the entire industry, and along with the MICE industry, we support exhibition campaign along with the Global Exhibition Day, which was well received, and a good number of bandwidth we had even generated, a good kind of branding which was created on the campaign that we started, which is We Support Exhibitions. Next one, please. Next slide. Yeah, these are some of the seminars that we did it in terms of our educating our on the previous one. Previous slide, please. Yeah. Thank you so much. In terms of, these are some of the different kind of webinars that we mentioned, as we had done it for the membership advantages, which includes various subjects on business continuity, SOPs, technical talks, how an Indian exhibition industry in terms of looking at the futures, what is the venue doing in terms of preparedness, what are the exhibitions are organizers doing it. So these are some of these business sessions that we do in terms of webinars, which are basically educations and knowledge to the our exhibition fraternity, along with some kind of focused masterclass for the entire industry. We also did some kind of COVID updates on a daily update. We have been going to our entire membership so that the industry stakeholders are well aware of us in terms of what status we are doing it. We had a daily launch of an exhibit dashboard stating about what are the different regulations coming from different exhibition government industry. And also as India is quite large, every state has their own kind of policies in terms of travels and things like that. So that kind of update also has been going to the entire industry. That's it from my side. And probably I would ask maybe Ravinder to touch upon some of those MICE aspects.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, President Bala. So, and thank you very much for your presentation. And now let's welcome Ravinder.
Thank you, dear Mr. President, dear Walter, dear friends. First of all, it's so great to see everybody, and this is one of the pluses I see of lockdown. I'm meeting my colleagues, my partners, my friends, my schoolmates so often, and I think it's all, this is applicable to all of you. So let's be on the positive. The other positive is that a month ago, we couldn't even have been thinking about recovery dates, SOPs, travel bubbles, etc. So I think God is being kind to all of us around the world. It is a positive, and we are heading in the right direction globally. I'll carry on a bit what Bala said. By the way, I sit with Bala in the executive committee of our association IEIA. Some of the things might overlap, but I'll try not to repeat them. You see in front of you two slides. I won't go into too many details, but if you see on the left is the COVID. Let's not go into the statistics. But major right now what we stand in India, I know you see a lot in the press, for God's sakes, I've even stopped watching TV. That today we are at the peak and the curve is starting to flatten. Maybe this is the crucial 1 week where we are going to be turning around. Crucial 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. Don't forget, it's a 1.3 billion people's country. And of the remaining active cases, two-thirds of them are in 3 cities: Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, which is very, very positive. It's only in these 3 cities. And the recovery rate is over 60%. So we're definitely in the tunnel now. We see the light in front of us. That's the virus. On the right side, you see IMF figures. I don't need to go into all of them. These are June 2020. The growth rate which is being projected for India in 2021 is 6.0%. 6.0%, if you go through the whole chart of the IMF, is going to be the second largest growth rate in the world, at least in the Western economies and the developing economies. So the virus is coming under control, and we do see a very bright future. Next slide, please. This is just to tell you what we had thought of before COVID came into our lives. The market size of the mice industry is USD 7 billion plus. And before COVID, if you see in all the top cities, 5-6 cities for mice, we were seeing an average growth rate at that time ranging from city-wise from maybe 3.5% to about 13%, which is, if you average it out, it's about, maybe about 9% or 10%. So coming to the previous slide, the 6.0 projection by the IMF doesn't really put us off that much into what was there in the pre-COVID days. Now, specifically for exhibitions, in the pre-COVID days, there were venue capacities which were being increased. Bala's BIC Bangalore has already been done. They were looking at some more outside facilities. The Pragati Maidan, IEML in Noida, Hyderabad, Bombay, the Reliance project. The biggest one is the Dwarka project in Delhi, which is going to be run by Kintex, our friends from Korea. They're all on track, of course delayed, but nobody has cancelled them, which is the big positive for our industry. No one has turned around. The venues, the big time investors are all in there and are continuing to be in there. Next slide, please. So very briefly, what's happening? Bala told a few about where we are. Domestic flights have opened already. 33% are running to and fro all over India. We expect in July, in the third unlockdown, to increase by 50%. Domestic trains are running. In fact, there's some announcements of some FDIs for new projects for railways. So it's business as usual going on. The hotels, it's going to take a little bit of time, and that is a global phenomenon, not just India. SOPs have been drawn up. The visa sections in Indian embassies around the world, they're back to work. which is good news. International flights, third lockdown, unlockdown. By mid-July, we will get some flights coming to and fro, travel bubbles, which is Stuart, a new words in our lives, that we will now be going into travel bubbles. And some of these bubbles do come into the Far East. Hong Kong is one of them, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. That process has already started. Specifically on exhibitions, the IEIA has laid out comprehensive SOPs, and along with the ITPO, the nodal body, they're all in place, and they're all now lying in the government's desks, and we are expecting that we'll get the green signal to open in September 2020. So that's not far, and that's not really too much away from what's happening in parts of Europe. Don't forget, the Indian virus is compared time-wise to Europe and not really to what happened in the Asia-Pacific and Far East, because the virus kind of like overtook us, went into Europe, and then came into India. Conferences, MICE industry, a few months later, we would say November 2020. Our travel industry, the ICPB, the Convention and Promotion Board, are very active, and we, the IEIA and the ICPB, are all also working together to get a quick start to the entire MICE industry. So, last slide, please. Here's my take. Not my take, I would say, in general, overall, what we are looking at. No doubt, we are going to be looking more domestic. Make in India has suddenly arisen, and it's taken on a great new vigor. That is not to undermine the FDIs and at the cost of foreign investments. On the contrary, government has taken certain revolutionary reform steps in these last 3 months. An agrarian reform which was unheard of. It's been there for about 300 years. That's been changed. Government has opened up many sectors in terms of FDIs. So though there's a lot of focus on domestic, the foreign investments are going to be increasing. We're going to see a U-shaped growth. That is quite obvious now, and that's expected in seeing the geographic and the socio-political environment of the country. The MSMEs are going to be facing a challenge. Government has taken many steps to relieve their pains. And as of now, we just ended our first quarter. Our year ending is March 31st. The figures are not as horrific as we would have thought. Yes, it is not really that bright, but the upward has started. Slow but steady. Digitalization of travel services. We're going to, as with the rest of the world, we're going to have more board meetings on Zoom. We're going to have more, the travel industry for our sectors in the operational aspect and the administration side, not on the exhibitions, is going to be on an increase. Yes, there have been some virtualization experiments in India, a few shows. Our president mentioned that this will become a necessity, but I think it will be more hybrid. The Indian industry is going to recover faster than expected, for sure. Organizers, while we speak, are talking about not only new dates, but they are aggressively selling through webinars. They're in contact with their exhibitors, their potential exhibitors, and we're expecting that actually, though September would be the opening, but by maybe October, we'll start seeing some B2B events. And we at the IEIA and the Indian exhibition industry are more than certain that live exhibition and events will be the ultimate winners. So between Bala and me, this is India. We are here around for any questions later on. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, Mr. President, and thank you for the Secretariat for doing all of this. This is really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravid. our Vice President of AFECA. Thank you for your sharing. And now next, we welcome Pak Afi from Advisor to the Indonesia Exhibition Companies Association, IECA. Pak Afi, please.
Thank you for the occasion. Allow me to present an overview, a piece of news from Indonesia. Let's begin with the global situation review. Next slide, please. As you know, COVID-19 disrupts all businesses, including our exhibition industry in Indonesia. In the global ranking, Indonesia numbers 30. And today, per yesterday...
Hi. Excuse me, Pak Effie. Could you please turn off another microphone? Is that possible? Because there has an echo here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, today 59,000 cases positive in Indonesia is spread out in 32 provinces. The level of recovery is good, about 10 times of that. So we can be optimistic the situation shifting to post-pandemic era. We can see the number 30 is Indonesia, but today is 59,000 people infected virus. And now situation, the biggest infections located in East Java, in Surabaya. So Jakarta right now is is going flat. Jakarta is going flat. And now how our stakeholders respond. Next slide, please. Indonesia government is doing all out to fight COVID outbreaks because we have 260 million people. All ministries and regional governments doing PSBB, or we call it in English, large-scale social restriction, consists of restricted religious activities, restricted transport, restricted gathering, no mass gathering exhibitions. So since last March, we cannot work at the office. We work from home. We pray at home. We study at home. As a result, the exhibition industry suffers from the impacts because of limitation in transportation, no mass gathering, and of course, no promise for exhibition from the government. However, MICE industry don't want to die young and losing customers. So we have to be creative and innovative with digital technology. And now we continue with latest development. New slide, please. To be real, latest developments show different colors. March 2020 look red because of the COVID outbreaks in Indonesia. Big scale response by government industry looks yellow for about 3 months. Jakarta changes from red to yellow from being top epicenter to the second after East Java province. So Jakarta now is going flat, and the top epicenter in Indonesia right now located in East Java or Surabaya. Now from June to July is the new normal era, or we call it in Indonesia normal MICE, with limited reopening of public and commercial activities. Since last week, you can go to the mall right now. We can go to the church, to the mosque, but the students still cannot go to the school. Campus still closed right until now. The policy mission is to make all people healthy, secure, and productive. Hopefully, in next month or in next 2 months, we are back to new normal. How about reopening MICE in Indonesia? Let's look next slide, please. We now talk about the patient for Indonesia MICE restart. To be true, Restart after stop is not easy. It takes a long process, and we prepare standard operating procedure with international reference. Look at the logo, start from global policy of World Health Organization, and of course from the Ministry of Health, Kementerian Kesehatan, and also from the association IECA or Asperapi. IECE has produced and socialized the event organization guidebook. So all the stakeholders in Indonesia should have to follow the guidebook. Our passion is driven by this fact. Consists of one, exhibition and event organizer can wait and can stay idle. Number two, all stakeholders getting prepared for field activities and at venue with adjustment to health and security protocol. Pending government permit for offline event organizing. On mid-August next month, we will open the first show at JCC. It's different with Bangkok and China. They have opened the show since last month. But in Jakarta, we'll start the opening the exhibition next month in August. And for your information, up to now, the association IECE, every week, every Friday, we organize the webinar. We are talking every week about the contractor stands, about the organizers, the promoting, about venue operators. So the situation in Indonesia right now is still spirit happy, and we will have find the best solution for the exhibition industry in Indonesia. Finally, with new normal and new SOP, we go to next challenge. This is a piece of news from Indonesia. Pak Walter, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Afi. Thank you for your presentation and let us know better about the developments in Indonesia. And next, I would like to welcome Ms. Yoshimura-san, Director General of JETRO, Japan External Trade Organization. Ms. Yoshimura-san, please.
Thank you.
Ms. Yoshimura, please turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Sorry, thank you. So thank you, Walter, and thank you for having me, having this great opportunity speaking at this webinar. So I'd like to speak about a situation in Japan. Next slide, please. So JETRO, as a brief introduction, we are a government-related organization that works to matchmake, trade, investment between Japan and the rest of the world. And our mission is, we have two missions. Well, first of all, promoting foreign direct investment in Japan and MICE, and also helping small and medium-sized Japanese companies to go outside and do global export. So the situation right now in Japan, I'm sorry I don't have this in the slide, but I'll just share a few points. So Japan has been hugely affected with the COVID-19. The number of the cases that the population has been infected in Japan right now is 80,874. So we are still in the stage of controlling the COVID-19. Since this year's February, because of the COVID-19, we have many exhibitions, shows canceled, and in March 24th, the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, was also canceled to next year. In April the 7th, we the government had locked down all of Japan, so we had to stay at home, and the economy practically stopped for a couple of months. Uh, the lockdown was released in June 19th. So right now we're gradually returning to normal stage of economy, but unfortunately for these couple of days, there's been more acknowledgement of affected virus in Tokyo and all around Japan. So we really have to work on controlling the situation, but also trying to recover the economy. Right now, Japan is barely returning to normal. Or if you come to Tokyo, there's many people walking around in the street, and also the restaurants are all open, schools open, also Disneyland open recently. But still we have face masks and using sanitary stuff and social, and of course social distance. The thing that right now we are focusing is trying to return our economy. There's a very sharp decline in tourism in Japan, and unfortunately, we still have the government having if foreign or Japanese coming to Japan will have to have PCR tests and also have to stay in home for days. So still we need some time to catch up, but what the government trying to do is trying to have more chances for the Japanese SMEs. Since JETRO is a organization trying to help Japanese companies abroad, and we've always attended many exhibition shows all around the world. But now, since this situation, the people, the companies cannot move, so they stay in Japan. But the government is supporting them in helping, having trade shows, online events, and virtual trade shows. Of course, the best would be to have the face-to-face business meeting, and we hope that will come very soon. But meanwhile, we are trying to help them by online events as possible. Recently, we did an event on a virtual event. We attended a virtual event in the United States on bio. Unfortunately, doing it online, comparing to the year before, which was a really real show, we only had business matching maybe around half of the numbers, but still I think it's better than doing nothing and still staying in Japan. So what JETRO is doing is this is the slide. We're having this COVID-19 business support website. So in English, so if there's any foreign companies interested in the situation in Japan, they can look up here. Also, the next slide. Next slide. We have this trade fair database in JETRO, and right now, even though there are many trade fairs that are cancelled, but still some of the trade fairs are going online. So we are trying to promote the Japanese companies attend the online events as well. And the Japanese government and JETRO is supporting for attending freely as the government will pay for them. So this is one of the things that we're trying to do. So unfortunately, we are still in control in COVID-19, but we're having Tokyo Olympics next year, and we're having many real events right now in Japan. The Japanese, the Japan Exhibition Association has made this guideline for exhibition industry guideline for preventing the spread of COVID-19. You can see it in their website. So we're trying to move on, fighting and controlling the COVID-19. And what we're hoping is after the COVID-19, we'll have a new kind of era. Since there's SME are not very good and maybe under on internet or technology, but we're trying to help them out. And so discovered that maybe after coronavirus, the COVID-19, we'll of course support them to attend trade shows and exhibitions in the real life, but also we think we're going to support them by doing online events as well. So they can there'll be more Japanese companies interested in doing business abroad. So this is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yoshimura-san, for sharing. And next, let's welcome Ms. Cynthia Chang, President of Macau Fair and Trade Association Council. Ms. Chang, please.
Thank you, President Ye. I just give you a brief update on the situation in Macau. So far, since the COVID began, we had in a total of 46 cases. We have 100% recovery of the 45 cases recovered. We have 0 deaths. Actually, we had over 2 months with no new cases until June 22nd, which was imported from Philippines. I guess the government had taken a very swift control in doing a 14 days lockdown for the casinos and a lot of the industries. And then also the very important thing is that the government started distribution of medical masks, which each Macau residents are able to purchase them 10 medical masks for about the price of $1. So this helps to prevent the spread of any COVID. And this has been going on for the 13th round of distribution. Next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. And about the state of economy recovery, as you understand, Macau is a very small place as compared to a lot of the cities and also countries. And we are very densely populated. So what the government has to do is focus on the local economy for our individuals, households, and SME. Basically, the government has allocated about 125 million US dollars, that is around 10 billion Patakas fund, aiming to bolster this and support for the employees and the local business. As for the exhibition and event industry, we are reopening it, but then it's not completely open as due to the border restrictions. We mainly focus on local smaller events, and we do have small meetings held in the past months. And for the exhibition, we had the first wedding expo held last end of June at the Macau Tower, where there was the implementation of the social physical distancing, the healthcare health code, and also pre-registration, so to control the crowd for the crowd control. And in particularly, the government department responsible for the MICE industry has called meetings with the organizers and the venue owners to discuss the procedures that's being implemented for the event. So to ensure that it's been done without any harm to the public health. The problem is we do still have the 14 days quarantine for foreigners or anybody who is entering into Macau at a designated location. So it's been going on, and we are still looking into when it's going to be opened. We understand that the government has been working with both Hong Kong government and the Guangdong province government to discuss about the opening of the border, and we're looking, the local industries are looking forward for that day. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. As mentioned, the Macau Trade and Investment Promotion Institute, who is leading the MICE industry, they already have implemented a series of preventive measures as a guideline. And of course, this has been updated frequently depending on the Macau Health Bureau's status and their updates also. So as you see, I'm not going to repeat because basically it's it's basically the same with as per our previous panelists. So this is what we're following also in Macau. Next slide, please. Okay. And then for the, also we have slowly opening up for the public facilities such as swimming pools. Schools has been opened up in different phases, like starting the university first in back in May, and then slowly continue. It is not really compulsory, but then it is encouraged. And basically, a lot of the venues have reinforced about the health code, the temperature check, all these are really being followed. And the government is continuing in preparing for events for the ones that has been postponed at the beginning of this year to the second half of this year. They are working on hosting it this year. And there are other events such as the sports events that has been held already, like in June, and again, end of June, the Dragon Boat Festival, it has been held. So basically we are, Macau, we are hoping to open our borders soon, but then it all depends on the neighboring countries and also the city and the talks between the governments. It is a very, I'm giving you a very brief overview of what's going on in Macau, and appreciate for giving us this time. And I believe it's the first time that our association participated in an AFECA meeting. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chang, for your presentation. Now let's welcome Dr. Sri Kani, CEO of Malaysian Convention and Exhibition Bureau, MICET. Mr. Kani, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome to Malaysia Through Asia. I'd just like to update here on the current situation as far as COVID-19 is concerned in Malaysia. As of yesterday, we only have 3 new cases in Malaysia out of total confirmed case now is 8,643. But the total recovered is 8,437 with a total death of 121. In treatment still, we have about 85 and 2 in the ICU. But for the past 15 days, we have not recorded any casualty as far as COVID-19 is concerned. So this is something that very encouraging for Malaysia to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The government already started to open up the businesses in Malaysia. As far as tourism is concerned, we already open up businesses for domestic tourism. The government already announced for Malaysians to travel interstate throughout the country, but with strict on SOP, that they have to follow strict SOPs that have been set by the government at all venues and tourism spots in the country. The government also has approved for MICET to also look into MICE domestic, because this is one of the area that we think that very important for Malaysia. With a total of population of 33 million, we could be able to also generate our own MICE business locally, and also encouraging the local to also develop their own events, which we will call a homegrown event. If you can see on our slides, this is one part of the area that we are going to concentrate after the COVID-19. This is a new area that myself going to concentrate away from the previous role that we are been tasked to bring more international events to the country. Next slide, please. Okay, we have to take care a lot of venues in Malaysia. We have about 160 venues as far as MICE is concerned for Malaysia, and then we have 31 integrated resorts. This is meant for incentive groups, and also 94 unique venues that we can use for MICE activities in the country. So all these venues have been asked to strictly follow our SOP that approved by National Security Council. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the events that we have done or we have secured since 2010 to 2019. But if you look at the number of events that have been postponed or been cancelled, is 69 been postponed and then 14 been cancelled. So this giving an economic impact of 1.2 billion. So a lot of things that we have to do now to actually make sure the MICE industry in the country to continually grow, especially post MCOs. Next slide, please. Okay, I'd just like to touch a bit on the current situation in Malaysia as far as events and tourism business is concerned. The government already starting to open up MICE business in Malaysia, but with strict number of attendance. The government already allowed MICE business to happen in the country with maximum number of 250 pack for a program. Currently, myself together with my SEOs pushing the government to actually follow our suggestion for event to happen in 1,000 square meter with 250 pack, and if the venue is more than that, then they should multiply accordingly. So we could have a bigger number of attendance in a particular event. So we are still working with the National Security Council to actually open up more numbers of participants per event so that we can have a bigger event to happen in the country. As myself already planning to organize we are already planning to organize a Malaysia Business Week event in August, which we are hoping to get more than 250 participants from the region, if not from the world. But depending on the government's decision to open up our borders to foreign travelers. However, since 19th of June recently, the government's already opened up borders for expatriate holding top management position in Malaysia to enter or to come back to Malaysia without having to seek permission of the Malaysian Immigration Department or to undergo COVID-19 screening at their home country before leaving for Malaysia, or screening could be conducted on their arrival. And also, as I mentioned just now, interstate traveling has been allowed since April, with everyone have to follow the QR code that been developed by the government called Gerak Malaysia app. The government also has introduced 4 stimulus package to help the industry since February this year. So far, the total amount of stimulus package that been been be introduced by the government is 290 billion, which is equivalent to 67 billion US dollar. The latest one, we call it penjana, is a Malay word they call in English is stimulus, whereby we also include a lot of stimulus package for the MICE industry. We have about $1 billion allocated for travel industry in that stimulus package. Next slide, please. Okay, the government also have come out with a strict SOPs that have to follow by all stakeholders in the country. This is part of the SOPs that everyone have to follow. As I mentioned earlier, the delegates now only allow at 250 packs maximum from the age of 18 to age of 70 years old, with a social distancing of 1 to 1.5 meter each participants in the conference, seminars, and also in the exhibition. But it's too small for the organizers to organize exhibition in Malaysia with that number. That's why we are pushing the government to allow the number to be increased according to the size of the venue. So if you have 10,000 square meters venue, so we could have about 2,500 packs in the exhibition area. But we are still waiting for the government. Today, this morning, during the meeting, I already raised to the government, Minister of Tourism, to look into this matter accordingly. So with that, that is the update that I could give now as far as COVID-19 is concerned and the industry, tourism industry in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you. Datu Sri Kani, thank you for your presentation. And now let's welcome Datu Vincent Lim, President of Marshals. Datu Lim, Vincent. And I also would like to have your cooperation because we are run out of time. I hope you can control your time within 4 to 5 minutes. So we still have 8 speakers, and after that we have Q&A section. So thank you very much. And Datu Vincent, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Water, and thank you, Datu Sri Kani, to share with us and the audience about the latest developments of the COVID-19. Just a quick, maybe the next slide, please. Yeah, we realize on the important role has the associations, especially during the pandemic or during the crisis time. Marshall is working very hard with all the committee, and in fact, we also informed Marshall's COVID-19 task force so that we can get enough committee and the industry players to raise our voices to our relevant governments and also to other stakeholders that what we got to do during these pandemic times. Before I proceed further, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Ministry of Health for their quick response to mitigate the spread of COVID in Malaysia. And so far, like what Datu Sri Kani did mention, we have only 3 new cases yesterday, and we hope the numbers will slowly getting lesser and lesser. We look forward to have 0 cases. Has what announced by our DG of Ministry of Health that hope we can achieve 28 days 0 cases. Then this thing will back to normal. Okay, please, next slide, please. Okay, just a quick brief about the current scenario. Where are we now? Malaysia will introduce the movement control order since March 18 till 3rd May. during this MCO phase 1, mostly all the offices, shopping mall, entertainment, everything we got to shut down. And then from there, the second phase we call conditional movement order, where selected services or essential are allowed to open. On the phase 1, only the essential services are allowed. Then phase 2 are more loosened a little bit for selected services, and other pieces are allowed to open. And currently, we are at the stage 3, we call recovery movement control order from then June until 31st of August. And like what Mr. Dato Sri Kani mentioned, from 1st July onwards, the business event or MICE industry that are allowed to organize. But I think because due to the number, it still have a restriction of 250 packs, so we are still continue appeal to our relevant government as per our proposed at 250 packs per 1,000 square meter. Okay, next slide, please. And this is some of the SOP that we currently have to meet. One is mentioned earlier at 250 per person, 250 packs maximum for conference or for exhibitions. We, based on this number, is based on 4 square meter per person. Yeah. And then exhibitor will, in the exhibition booth, that 2 to 3 person maximum allowed per 9 square meter. And social distancing will apply for 1 or 1.5 meter. And the age group is 18 to 70. I believe this is just only a temporary limitation. Once the pandemic, once the COVID new cases is getting lesser and lesser, this will be getting better, and maybe we're not going to have a age limit later on. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, at the moment, Malaysia government have also trying to have this travel bubble. At the moment, most of the players we are only allowed to kickstart from 1st July onwards based on what we have on the domestic markets or national markets, and perhaps maybe in the near future we continue discussion with the relevant country that we could able to do regional events or regional exhibition. Then hopefully the international status will be very soon once everything is settled down. Okay, I think that is basically my slide, and I try to cope like what Mr. Water advised, between 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Mio Tang Nelson, President of Myanmar Exhibition and Conference Association. And Mr. Tang, please.
Everybody, welcome, President, and all the beauty and all attendee. I'm Nelson from the Maker, which founded in year of 2016 in Myanmar. And we just changed our name, Myanmar Exhibition, Events and Convention Association, to persuade more event organizers and MICE industries. Second slide. Next. Next. Another next. So in our country, the government, they banned all the mass gathering in the first week of March. Our Maker, very luckily, we held our third annual meeting before they banned the mass gathering. In the 6th, the government, they give us, they give the protocol and critical clinical management guideline for the COVID-19. And 16, they restrict entry from high-risk countries. The first confirmed case founded on 23rd March, who from the passengers who returned home citizen from Europe, US, and other countries. On 30th March, the government, they formed COVID-19 Control and Emergency Response Committee led by Vice President One. Next. So all of the infected patients, since that time they have to stay at the special COVID disease hospital and under treatment, and some suspected and some other person related family members and some who related with the infected patients, they have to be in the facility quarantine centers such as hotel and the meditation center. We are very lucky. We have a lot of meditation centers with the full facility like hotels. Some hotel owners also giving them to free using. So provide free all the patient, they got the free accommodation, free food supply donated by the business company, donors, federation and trade association. And also the government also holds free of charge for the COVID-19 test. Next. According to the MOHS statistics, totally currently up to 2nd July, total test is a 79072 and the negative is 78768. The patient positive is 304, only 6% that recover 223 and still active 81. So mostly now, most of the patient already recover, but another challenge is we are receiving a lot of return home migrant workers from other country by relief flight and some people from neighboring country by cross border. Next. All mini marts, food shop, supermarket are allowed to open. Since we got a COVID-19 affected, they are allowed to open with takeaway systems. Government office resume to the works since after a long holiday of a water festival, and 50% of staff they assigned to attend office alternatively until end of April. But on 1st July, all government mechanisms fully operated. Next. Next. All factories, company, project sites, they have to get approval from the regional government to resume their office, do their works as per MOHS, Ministry of Health rules and regulation. But the curfew still banned from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. Union government given COVID loans to the industry, 100 billion charged to several business industry, but priority sectors are CMP, tourism, and SME. But they are considering to give another loan, 100 billion charged for remaining industries. Next step. International organizer, they postponed their exhibition to the next year, 2021. But still some international organizer, they still keep their venue reservation until end of December 2020. Most of the public event such as wedding, concert has been postponed to the next year 2021. International flight will be suspended to land until 31st July. All business visitor, exhibitor, trade mission could not be traveled due to restriction of facility quarantines, because normally all the visitors, they have to take 21 days quarantine, facility quarantines, and 7-day home quarantines. So, but from the MICA collected some survey from member how much affected to industry, and the preparing report to submit government to realize how to recover the MICE industry. Next. Thank you. I think we at the moment our state councillor, every week he is keep in touch with the public, and also he do online interviewing with the MOHS personnel, trade association leaders, NGO leaders, SME business in every week. So we will get a chance to explain how to recover the MICE industry in very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tang, for sharing about the situation in Myanmar. Now let's welcome Mr. Andrew Chua, Executive Director of the Singapore Tourism Board, STB. Andrew, please.
Thank you, Walter, and good afternoon, everyone. I will very quickly talk about the situation in Singapore. First and foremost, we are from the Singapore Exhibition and Convention Bureau, and our objective is to establish Singapore as the global Asia hub and to enable international business easy access to the Asia-Pacific region. Well, I think we have heard a lot about COVID-19, and over in Singapore, we do recognize that this is a very challenging period for the diverse businesses in the MICE sector. And what the government has done actually is to announce and introduce 4 supplementary budgets to help the economy. And the total support package is nearly 100 billion Singapore dollars. And that is about 19.2% of our gross domestic product. Now, specific to the MICE industry, many of our MICE event organizers and some of the suppliers can actually tap on schemes such as the job support scheme, where the government subsidizes up to 75% of the first 4,600 Singapore dollars of gross salary for every local employee for a period of 10 months. These measures comes along with other forms of ongoing support for the MICE industry as well. Next slide. So currently, Singapore have moved into phase 2 and our schools have resumed. We have opened our shopping malls. But in terms of the tourism industry, it's expected to reopen in a very safe and gradual manner in tandem with the rest of the economy. We have also started to open selected tourism attractions in Singapore. Now, in terms of travel, as at 2nd of June, we have already started to allow some international transit through Singapore's Changi Airport. And Singapore has recently launched its first fast lane arrangement on 8th of June to facilitate essential business and official travel between Singapore and selected provinces in China. This will be gradually open to other Chinese provinces and municipalities. Discussion for such fast lane arrangements are also ongoing with other countries such as South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and our neighbor Malaysia. What we are looking at is to create regional travel bubbles to allow cross-border travel with other countries, their access to be at equivalent or lower risk of community transmission in Singapore, and similarly, we are looking at resumed international connectivity. Next slide. Now, as a very small and open economy, the uncertainties have definitely affected the approach that Singapore should take in reopening the country. We must ensure that the resumption of business and MICE event has to be done in a very safe and calibrated approach with limits on the size and capacity of such events to prevent large clusters from arising. We are prioritizing safety and health over haste and would like to ensure that MICE activities can resume in a sustainable manner. So currently, the Singapore government is engaging the MICE industry on possible safe management measures to be taken, and we'll be advising on the approval process and timelines of their resumption at a later date, depending on the ability and the readiness of the organization to implement these measures. So for a start, we have been working very closely with stakeholders and the Singapore Association of Convention and Exhibition Organizers and Suppliers, or SASIOS for short, to develop robust safe management measures and best practices to guide the industry on how to deliver events safely and to adapt well to a post-COVID-19 environment. We will continue to spare no efforts in ensuring the health and safety of our visitors, and as part of our national-wide engagement efforts to rally the public and businesses to adopt public cleanliness and good sanitization and hygiene practices, Singapore has rolled out what we call a SG Clean campaign. And this initiative basically aims to instill public confidence and give assurance to locals and visitors that our public venues, our facilities maintain high standards of cleanliness and sanitation. Now, since the onset of COVID-19, we have more than 9,000 premises in Singapore. They have been certified SG Clean, and this included our 4 big MICE venues, Suntec, the Singapore Convention and Exhibition Centre, Resorts World Convention Centre, Marina Bay Sands for the Expo and Convention Centre, as well as the Singapore Expo and Max Atrium. Now, in addition, I think it's very important to use technology, and the Singapore government has developed and launched 2 free digital services that can facilitate efficient contact tracing. The first one is known as a Trace Together app, and it basically tracks the distance and duration of its user's interaction with another app user using Bluetooth signals. In the event a user is exposed to the coronavirus, this app allows for more efficient tracing of close contact. We have also introduced a safe entry system, and it's free as well. This is a digital visitor registration system, which businesses and building owners can use for free for the purpose of contact tracing. So whether you are a MICE visitor or a leisure visitor or local, you just need to scan a QR code to check in the contact details when entering and exiting a venue. And this system helps to reduce the manual effort required by businesses to track visitor movement and eases crowds at entry points. Can I have the next slide? The COVID-19 situation has definitely brought about an accelerated innovation in the digital realm and has led to a fundamental review of the exhibition's business model. We see the new norms will be enhanced by digitalization and innovation. So as I mentioned earlier, events related safety, health and sanitation standards will be key when we open. We also see a trend towards hybridization of event, and this will be taking off in a significant way. And some companies have already developed and adopted technologies. They may become standard components of the future. Integration of technology in the visitor experience, such as the use of digital guides and contactless registration, will become mainstream. For last year's ITB Asia, for instance, we have already used facial recognition in visitor registration and event entry to streamline process. So it's really about high tech and low touch. The Architectural and Building Services 2019 use AI and smart data technology to auto-profile visitors and exhibitors' data and interests and intelligently match visitors with exhibitors to improve user experience and event ROI. And recently, SAMS also launched a virtual edition of the Tea and Coffee Summit and Expo in 2020. Now, the Singapore Tourism Board will continue to work very closely with stakeholders and SASIOs to come up with a playbook. And this playbook is to guide the industry on how to leverage technology to deliver events safely and profitably in a post-COVID-19 environment. We'll be covering three aspects, I would say. The first aspect is really about a clear framework of safe management measures, which industry should adhere to when running events in the new normal. We also include best practices to guide innovation and adaptation of new event formats. And this will work closely with the event organizers to pilot hybrid versions of events so that we can adapt, shape, and model in the post-COVID events landscape. And we'll be looking forward to launch this playbook in the near future, and we'll keep you guys updated. So last but not least, Singapore will continue to embrace change and actively adapt our approach to ensure a trusted and safe environment for our business event. We also work in partnerships with our stakeholders, SASIOs, AFECA, IAEE, and WUFI to support the industry towards a successful recovery. And we look forward to welcoming business and MICE travelers from all over the world to meet in Singapore again. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. And we learn much more about the developments in Singapore and the initiative you are taking. And now let's welcome Ms. Cecile Kim, Head of Education and Communications of Association of Korea Exhibition Industry. Ms. Kim, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ye. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cecile from AK. Very nice to see you here. Before beginning, in Korea, we have about 50 new COVID-19 cases per day recently. The number is bigger than before, but it's still under control. Daily life is just okay. We go to work, restaurants, shopping malls. Also, we use subway, bus, train, everything. AK is even running offline education programs. But of course, we are keeping quarantine guidelines, wearing masks, and keeping distance, etc. And now I'm going to update very briefly about the situation in Korea. As you see, it will include exhibitions reopened, challenges, and government support. Next slide, please. In Korea, we've already reopened the exhibition since May 18th. The show was Embassy Construction Expo. It was held at Kintex. The organizer and the venue made the very first COVID-19 guideline for exhibition, which was very comprehensive, specific, and practical. We think it includes nearly everything you need, and the exhibition went on very well. Since then, in May and June, total 50 exhibitions have been held at 13 exhibition centers. In Korea, there are 15 exhibition centers, so we can say that almost every exhibition center has already restarted their business. And so far, there is no COVID-19 case caused by exhibitions. Next slide, please. But there were also some challenges. First, local government control, as their top priority is citizens' safety and health. So city government recommended organizers not to open the shows when the COVID case was increasing. The officers from Seoul city government also visited the show to see whether quarantine guideline is complied. Second thing is about government and public organization involved in the exhibitions. As they are in public side, they are also very sensitive about COVID issue. So once the COVID situation got worse, they were relatively easy to decide to cancel their exhibitions even right before the opening day. But organizers, then contractors and service contractors keep saying there is no problem at all. Don't cancel the show. Just continue it. It must go on. Next slide, please. And there have been many government support programs such as finance, employment, and taxation so far. In addition, recently, Prime Minister Office and related ministries made up a measure to reboost the exhibition industry. It includes support for damage recovery and keeping organizing shows and strengthening competitiveness of the exhibition industry. At the bottom of the slide, you can see the photo. Prime Minister visited Startup Fair in June, which is a good sign. And another one is AKE campaign. That message was exhibitions are safer than subway. We did it because we want to continue the shows. In Korea, in subways, restaurants, shopping malls, many people got together even without distance. But it is easy to blame only for exhibitions, even though we apply every possible measure, and it has been proved that it is just safe. And lastly, today, we just got official social distancing guideline for exhibitions. It is authorized by Central Disaster Safety Task Force. It is a very big and good news. Now we can keep organizing shows under this guideline. That's it from AKE. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim from AKE. And next, I would like to invite Hong-Yu Lee, President and CEO of Korea Trade Fair. Hong-Yu, please.
Andy, for your kind patience. It takes a long time to come here. Yeah. My name is Hong-Yu Lee. I'm an exhibition organizer and president of Korea Trade Fairs Limited. Very nice to attend the webinar today and happy to introduce myself and my exhibition, the Korea Metal Week 2020, that was open from June 17 to 20 at Kintex. This is the first reopening B2B exhibition in Korea since ever COVID-19 pandemic. And
And can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. You can see my career about the 40 years experience in exhibition industry and have devoted to work as a chairman of two major exhibition industry association in Korea for several years. And now I'm proud to contribute myself for AFECA as a board member. Next page, please. And ladies and gentlemen, let's share my experience of the Korea Metal Week 2020. This trade exhibition has enjoyed a successful record for past 30 years. However, this year, the exhibition was declined by COVID pandemic sharply. The scale and size of the exhibition is half 50% reduced, and either number of exhibitors is decreased to 1/3, or the visitors to quarter 25% down. For exhibitors, mainly participating by local manufacturers and sales agents, but a few international ones, and visitors are very few foreigners because of the immigration control by the government, 2 weeks isolation of the quarantine after entering to Korea, and it's still going on. Nevertheless, the main reason why we reopened the exhibition is we, Korea Trade Fairs Limited, believe that exhibitions are key to rebuilding the economy. It's a slogan by Association of the Korea Exhibition Industry, RK, and also want to share this show is open for business. It's a campaign by UPI recently. Next page, please. Next page, please. Thank you. In result, the exhibition was organized successfully under the suspicious situation of the coronavirus disease. Even though we cannot have any profit from the exhibition, we can expect coming successful one in 2021. We lost money, but gained positive responses from both exhibitors and visitors. Next page, please. And lastly, I'd like to mention about the strong quarantine system by the organizer and venue during the exhibition period. With this cooperation, we put more staff to control quarantine from outside of the venue entrance and to the cafeteria in the exhibition site. And all visitors should scan QR code, check body temperature, and wear face mask, disposal gloves, and also all exhibitors do the same every day. I do expect my experience of the reopening exhibition will be of good assistance to you. And thank you very much for your kind listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Hong Yu, the board members of AFECA. And next, I would like to invite Kelly. Kelly is the Director of Exhibition Departments from TCEP, Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau of Thailand. Kelly, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, AFECA board and advisor, and good afternoon, my industry colleagues. So I'm humbled to update the COVID -19 situation in Thailand. So far, there has not been any new cases of locally transmitted infection in Thailand for almost 40 days in consecutive. And humble to tell that Thailand ranked at second best in the world of ongoing COVID-19 recovery. And we have 29 shows lined up to be organized from September onwards until December this year. So allow me to update you what going on in Thailand and how TCEP respond in order to support exhibition industry. Next slide, please. Let me start with the situation in May. So in May, the phase is going to shift ease of lockdown first phase, and CAT, authorities of Thailand, has issued safety practice for domestic flight operation to be resumed. And what we have done to support the industry, we collab with TA on exhibition reopening and Thai exhibition data management platform. I do believe Mr. President of Thai Exhibition Association will update you guys about this in detail. And we also submitted letter of intention to host AFECA 2021. And of course, looking forward to welcome you all to Thailand next year. And in June, I think phase shift to recovery in June. The night curfew in Thailand has been lifted, and the government announced that MICE events and mega events allowed to be organized to follow the hygiene guideline and observe physical distancing. And other health and recreation activities allowed to be organized. And what TCEP do in order to support industry, we have been launched extra subsidies to support organizers who organize trade shows in September. This called New Norm exhibition, which I tell you the details later on. And in June, the first B2C shows has been reopened. We have furniture fair and we have mobile expo. And I think in next 2 weeks, we're going to have motor shows in Impact Thailand. And since this week, I think this week, we together with Thai Exhibition Association also working on special travelers arrangement for MICE participant guideline. It's kind of a travel bubble plan for MICE business travelers. We are pushing forward government to allow international MICE participants to fly in and attend the exhibition that's going to be held started from September onwards. And this morning news, the Ministry of Tourism and Sports just announced that they're also working on a travel bubble plan for leisure travelers. The plan has been drafted with key phases for opening, starting with 1,000 tourism per day across 5 provinces of Thailand. And the travel bubble plan will start in selective country in ASEAN and China first. This is what we have been done and to respond the situation so far. Next slide, please. And TCEP, we implement TR strategies to revitalize MICE industry in order to respond short-term measures to keep planned business alive. First, we lower the supporting criteria for exhibitions in Thailand, such as lowering space of exhibitions, lowering the numbers of international participants so that they all are eligible to get support from TCEP. And as health safety is primary concern in organizing events, we also set up funds under the Project COVID-19 Free Meeting to subsidize venue in installing tools, educating their staff, and setting up health protocol. And as of now, 207 venues across Thailand have applied for this project. And responding to online technologies, we launched virtual meeting space, also called VMS, to provide webinar for organizers to hold online meeting and launch virtual expo for exhibitions so that they can launch product online and conduct transaction on the online platform. And as of now, almost 60 events have applied to use our online platform. And our key highlight under response term is to produce My Venue Hygiene Guideline, which are results of TCEP collaboration with TA. And this guideline was presented to the government. And phase. I think phase now shift to recovery. We started recovery phase since June, and I think what we have been doing is we have designed new incentive scheme or support for all organizers and meeting incentive events, and also mega event festival owners who would like to organize the events in Thailand. Started from and people focus. This is the campaign for meeting incentive group that we targeting MI travelers, and we set up 500,000 US dollar fund to help organizers of meeting events. For Thailand Power Up Mega Events, this one is tailor-made for mega events and festival owner, providing support for Thai organizer to acquire lead and develop mega event database so that we can select potential ones to be located in Thailand. And the highlight one for exhibition organizers is new norm subsidy for exhibitions. We extended support fund to local buyers at trade fair apart from overseas buyers, because we understand that under this circumstance, most of organizers are relied on local visitors. Um, Besides local buyers, we also provide supporting for health, set up health tools and technologies to keep the events disease proof. And besides new support, we also aiming to form new collaboration with key government organizations in growing trade fair and to ease up all the visitation in order to facilitate all the exhibition organizers. And talking about restoration plan, we are planning to bidding for international events. We have discussed with key government to reprioritize our focus sectors and talk with some key government to initiate the event under the campaign called One Mystery, One Expo. And we also highlight some key sector. Logistic infrastructure sector will be the highlight sector for next year, and we will working on economic impact of mice industry as a national KPI. Next slide, please. This one, I would like to provide more information on New Norm Extra Support Program. For our organizers who plan to organize the shows in B2B show in September, we offer maximum 10,000 US dollars to offer for all trade shows, offer for PO worldwide. And eligible trade shows must be organized follow Thailand Exhibition New Norm Standard operation procedures, and the shows must be organized within end of September 2020. Next slide, please. And under this extra support program, we have three categorized support. The first one is hosted buyer support. We offer accommodations, transportation, and this offer for all local and international buyers. And the second support is hygiene management support. We offer organizers to use the funding to set up health tools in order to follow health and safety management and implementation on site. And we do believe that technology tools is very important in order to follow the shows, to organize the show under new norm. Technology tools and support are one of the support of extra support program. We offer innovation technology tools for all trade shows. Next slide, please. Okay, and a quick update on exhibition industry overview. We have 30 trade shows lined up this year. From September onward until December, and we expect that those 30 trade shows will be generated 84 billion US dollar to Thailand. And so I look forward to welcome all of you and looking forward to meeting face to face soon in Thailand. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you, Kelly. And now let's welcome Mr. Tarun Ten, President of Thailand Exhibition Association, TEA. Thailand, please.
President Dr. Ye of AFECA and all board member and advisors to AFECA and all the industry colleagues. It's a really pleasure for me as the president of the Thai Exhibition Association in Thailand. As from COVID-19 has been erupted, we have been working really hard with our committee and also together with our Thailand Convention Exhibition Bureau to make sure that we like to brought to their government to understand that the my industry is not really the tourist industry. It's actually the financial bringing money into the country to help the economy of each country. So by working together, we may be able to actually release the first phase of exhibition local industry by putting a new norm measure for organizing exhibition in Thailand with the Minister of Health that come up with the new norm for exhibition and conference. Unfortunately, I like to show you a lot of slices of this guideline, but I think the time is actually not giving it. So I'm going to give you a really rundown very quickly just to give you some kind of detail of that. Objective is actually to get permission from government authority actually to restarting the exhibition, especially kind of the event that organizer can take control. And to build the confidence from authority in charge of disease control, to understand the public health exhibition is not a source of spreading or infection. Thirdly, to serve as a guideline for business enterprises in the exhibition industry to follow, hence reduce the risk of spreading coronavirus. Fourthly, to prevent the spread of coronavirus to visitor, attendee, and all parties involved. So that is actually really the new more exhibition and conferences. So the measure of the topic is likely cover 9 topics. First topic is screening measure before entering the building. That means everyone's before entering to any event of exhibition, from contractors, suppliers, service providers, security, cleaning, everyone who is involved in the industry setup have to be quarantined, have to be checked on their health and all their history of their traveling and everything. That's locally. And 2, screening measure before entering the event. That's something to do with like more sure that you have been clear from the disease or whatever. 3, measure for exhibitor and visitor during the event. So they were brought in the application called the Thai Chana application, which is now in 3 versions, English, Thai, and I think they are trying to actually doing some Chinese version as well. So that means that the government are preparing to actually accepting visitor in the really coming up. Also measure for personal during setup and tear down. That's our fourth topic of measure. And then hygiene, measure by using gels and temperature control, that sort of thing. 6, organizing meeting and seminar during the event by using the distancing, social distancing, like a meter or meter and a half between the sitting capacity and the number of coming to the conferences. Also, the 7 is emergency plan in case of encountering people at risk. That means that we're working with the local hospital, local authority of the pandemic control to make sure that if we do have a case, we can actually acting very quickly. And 8, communication all the visitors, the contractors, and everybody else that during the event, after the event, for the most 30 days that we have to keep all our industry and health record. So basically, this new norm measure for organizing exhibition in Thailand has been issued and also are now working with the business consumer in Thailand right now, as Ms. Kelly actually spoken about 2 events already happening, B2C, which is the Mobile Expo this week, and also the furniture fair. With my show also last week, I actually do some what they call B2C show by giving the space of the exhibition hall to the local SME partners to make sure that they can have a place to actually sell their product without being charged them any rental. So that's helping the community, helping them up to actually broad up their community. And this week we happen at the True Icon Hall at the Icon Siam by the river, which is the 3rd day now. of the events happening. So that's the B2C actually start already in Thailand with the new measure of exhibition and convention conference meeting measurement. So by all this, we have also putting some relief measure for Thai companies, especially for a small or medium enterprise company from Thailand by the government for the last season since March to now. Low interest loans at 2% interest for all period of 2 years, over 20 million baht per customer, suspending the principal, reducing the interest rate for the debts from the government, such like loan repayments, things like that. Also, the Bank of Thailand has eased the rule of granting commercial bank loans. Also, the Social Security Fund will provide a credit line at 3% for a period of 3 years. So that from the 6% to the 3% reduced. So, and also reducing withholding tax from 3% to 1.5%. And small industry, medium enterprise also participate in a low interest rate credit measure to help entrepreneur having a single account, 1.5 times reduction. Allowing SME to also deduct 3 times salary expenses paid in April to July. This implementation of VAT refund to domestic entrepreneur within 15 days so that you get your money back very quickly. Refund deposit for electricity usage. So good news, the electricity providers actually been given another more 3 months time reduced electric usage, things like that as well, from July, August, and September. So that will help the industry, also the business community to actually save some expenses. Reduced contribution to the Social Security Fund by employers and employee as well. So that's been for 90 days. Hopefully we can continue to another 3 months, so each the owner of the company can actually save on security on employee. Government agency to reduce rental fee for state property. I believe there are some more loan funds coming out from the government within the next couple of weeks. They were talking about 440 million baht to actually help the industry. First, they will help the agriculture first, and then they will gradually go up to the industry of services. So my next slides, I will just give you some background on international business traveler. I think Kelly already been update for you already. From me, I just said to give them the measure and criteria for travel bubble policy that the government actually trying to announce for the next Tuesday coming up, which is this Sunday, actually this evening. Our association with the organizer of local and international actually put together in a draft form to actually present it on Sunday morning, this Sunday morning, to the Ministry of Health to actually pushing through to the government on this Tuesday to make sure that they can actually ease lock for the travel visitor, especially the exhibitor that we are looking for. So in 60-day, country that qualify for the travel bubble policy must be free from COVID-19 for at least 60 days. That's one of the criteria. World Health Organization specify low-risk country as free from COVID-19 for at least 30 days. So that's a criteria. a limit of 1,000 foreign tourists per day for the whole country, depending on the capacity of each location or entry. So at the moment, that's some kind of a criteria that the government has been suggested to actually to open up. And of course, they're also thinking of the holders of work permit, permanent resident, people seeking certain health and treatment, and foreign students, along with the family members, would also qualify to apply for entry. So that's kind of good news that for the visitor to Thailand can actually entry to our country. From the association, I think we are working very, very hard to make sure that the industry of exhibition are coming back very soon. So our exhibition industry, B2B, will probably start in August to December. So that's all from Thailand. And one last one, I think we have the launching of the new hybrid concert entertainment, which is a press conference yesterday, and will start on the 18th of July. So this is going to be the first hybrid concert in Thailand. So we'll leave this from now and wishes all everyone in the industry will come back very soon and we'll meet again very soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, President Tarun. Hope to see you soon. And lastly, Mr. Zheng Zi, President of Xiamen Convention and Exhibition Association, who are not able to join us today, and he recorded a video briefing on the status of China. Let's take a look.
尊敬的叶主席、韦文道副主席、各位理事和秘书处的朋友，大家好！非常高兴今天线上会议通过线上的交流，了解各国疫情之后会展业发展的情况，很有必要，也很及时。谢谢秘书处的同志。我现在呢，利用这个机会，简单的向各位报告一下中国大陆和厦门会展业的发展的情况。自从今年年初，新冠疫情在武汉首先被发现以来，中国进入了抗疫时刻。经过2个多月的努力，武汉的疫情基本得到控制，取得了很好的效果。但是后来相继又发生了黑龙江、吉林疫情，特别是6月11号，北京新发地市场再次发现新冠疫情的传播。中国大陆将要启动的会展活动也快速地按下了暂停键。目前在中国大陆各地，会展业的发展也还没有完全的启动。虽然有一些城市根据自己的环境和条件举办了一些会议和展览活动，但是也还是少数的、谨慎的。在会议和展览活动当中，防控的措施也是比较严格的，要求也是严厉的。所以总体来讲，现在中国大陆各地会展业的发展还是处在一种慢节奏的状态。我们厦门市的会展业的情况向各位汇报一下。厦门会展业在5月份和6月份也先后举办了几场订货会，还有展览会，包括6月24号到27号举办的厦门海西汽车博览会，应该说是取得了比较好的业绩，但是疫情防控的代价也是非常高的。为了确保安全，各地中国各个城市都把安全的防护放在重要的位置。我们厦门在举办汽博会期间，通过健康码对参展参会人员的信息进行了健康信息进行了甄别。在开展以后，进场需要通过3道体温测试和记录系统，同时展会现场准备了应急的支流场所和医护人员队伍，每天对场馆进行消毒，进行通风，确保呢进馆人员的数量不过于太稠密，保证了呢我们的到目前为止保证了展馆进馆人员的安全。应该说，举办展览活动是促进会展业健康发展的 一个重要标志。那么从目前的情况看，中国大陆各地对举办展览活动还是比较谨慎，特别是北京新发地疫情的发现，敲响了警惕的警钟。应该这么说，新冠疫情传播力非常强，也非常的狡猾，所以呢，我们呢也建议各个国家的朋友对此呢保持高度的警惕。那么我们呢也会把我们厦门举办展会的一些防控的一些举措放在我们AFECA的网站上，供大家一起借鉴。最后呢，我还是再次祝我们亚洲地区各国会展业的朋友携手合作，共同创造亚洲会展业的繁荣。谢谢大家。
The presentation today because of the time, but I appreciate all the speakers who share the information about the situation in our AFECA countries. So now we have a very short Q&A section. I don't know if anyone want to ask question. Okay, I think because the time, we take too much time. So if you have any question, you can give us the question and we will send to someone to answer the question. All the question will be handled through our secretariat to have the right person to answer the questions. I think today's webinar is very useful for all of us, and we thank you all the speakers to share the situation and the initiative and the way how to reopen and how to reintroduce the technology and also the new normal. And our industry have to face the new challenge. Let's work together to face this new situation and work together for the future. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you all the speakers for your time and all the viewers online, and thank you so much. See you next time. Thank you.